Welcome to the 64th episode of the Curve the Cube podcast, Curvis. This is Jemmy, your host and producer from Flintstone Media. Yay, how's it going? And on today's episode, I have Ken Bratvogel, who is the owner and operator of a couple of gun shops, one up in South Carolina, one down here. And I've always, guns to me are terrifying. They're completely intimidating. I find them, like, get me away from them as quickly as you can. But I also am fascinated by those who find them fascinating. So what better person to talk to than the owner and operator of a gun shop? So look up Ken's gun shops. You can look up Tri-County Gun Sales, or you can look up Broward Guns. You could look up Low Country Arms and Ammo, and guess what? You're gonna find all paths lead to Ken. And on this episode, we talk about why he loves guns so much, why, what the hobby is, where he got into it, and why that has grown into him opening his own business. I mean, there's passion right there. Trust me, he loves his guns. And of course, we get into some other topics surrounding guns, gun control, sensitive, more political stuff, but I try not to get too political. I don't really want that on this podcast, but we do get into some of the things. We left a lot of stuff on the table. This discussion could have gone on and on, but we did get into some good meat. So we talk about gun control measures, the NRA, and all that good stuff. So, in light of things as they are right now and in the climate of the country, there's an election going on, I think it's a really great conversation to have. So it was insightful. I learned some things. I'm sure you'll learn some things too. And this episode of the Curve the Cube podcast is brought to you by my brother, Gerard. My brother, he is super brilliant, and he has his own company as well called GL Esquire Consulting, and he gives incredibly sound legal business advice. If you haven't heard before, then you should know now. He has been to some of the top schools in the country, Harvard, Columbia Law School, and he's worked at some of the top law firms as well in the country. So now he's doing it on his own, and let him consult you with your business and legal needs. You can reach out to him on Twitter at JGerard Inc. He's also on Facebook at GL Esquire Consulting. And that's it. So look him up. Look up Ken Bratvogel and sit back and relax. Thank you to DJ John Hitta for this music bed. And thank you to all of my listeners and all of my sponsors. And welcome to the 64th episode of the Curve the Cube podcast. This has been Jemmy, and you're going to have a good time. Enjoy. Curve the Cube will now initiate. Hey, Ken.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Nice to see you.
Good to see you again. How's it going?
Good.
Good. So, hello, Ken.
Hello, Jim.
Hi. Welcome to the podcast. I'm really excited to have you. This is Ken. I want to make sure I don't totally butcher your last name. Is it Bratvogel or Bratvogel?
Bratvogel, yeah.
Bratvogel. Okay, so it is as easy as it.
Yeah.
It just looks intimidating, but it is fairly easy of a name. Bratvogel.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on. So one thing I love to do with my podcast is talk to people who are doing something that they really love to do. I say one thing, that's really all I do with my podcast. That is the goal and focus of my podcast. So when I heard that you are a gun owner, you have a gun shop, I was like, okay, cool, let me talk to him, because I have very little exposure to guns and that whole culture and that whole way of life, like almost no, but I've always been fascinated by it, intimidated by it, to be quite frank with you. But very curious about it as well. So thank you so much for coming on and being willing to talk to me. This is exciting.
Good.
Awesome.
I hope I can give you some information.
You'll give me lots, I'm sure. So how did you first get into and discover your affinity for ammo and guns?
Well, it happened probably, I've been in it since, going to give a little bit of my age away, since 1964. Actually, I got my first gun when I was in the 6th grade. And where I grew up, most boys had 22 rifles.
And where did you grow up?
In Missouri.
In Missouri.
Yeah. And so we would literally take them out by ourselves in the woods and go plinking. And
Like shooting cans and
yeah,
stuff?
shoot cans and persimmons and just things like that. We never shot any animals. We'd always had learned that you don't shoot anything that you're not going to eat, or don't point it at any living thing.
Always a good one with them.
we did that, and once I started in on it, it just became it really became a passion of mine.
Yeah.
And when I would go to the grocery store with my parents in the 60s, then I would sit down and while they were shopping and read the guns
and ammo and
magazines,
stuff.
right,
Yeah.
while they were there. And then just a kind of a funny story about what happened when I was in the ninth grade. I was in a drama class, speech and drama. So you had to be in the show in the school play, and you had to give a speech about something during the semester. And I gave it as how a semi-automatic rifle worked.
Wow.
Took the gun to school.
No.
In class, broke it down, explained, gave the speech on how it worked.
Well,
And the only thing they didn't allow me to do was I couldn't take it on the bus.
Right.
My mother had to
of
take
all
me to,
of all the things that were prohibited.
Yeah, they had
Don't take it
she
on
had
the
to
bus.
take me to school and pick me up.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny how to say like how times have changed, because
Right.
if you
Even
had like say that you have a gun in school, forget it, you're
Or
done.
said you even wanted to give a speech about it without bringing
Right.
a gun, they probably
End of the semester for you.
yeah. So that was it.
Crazy.
That was my speech, and I got a good grade on it. And
Good for you.
and so it just always kind of went from there.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I've never looked back.
So did you have BB guns at all, or was it straight the
no,
real
I went
deal?
right to the 22s.
Right to the
Yeah.
22s. Goodness. Okay, so for both myself and any other listener that has no idea what that is, what is a 22?
A 22
caliber?
Yeah, it's a 22
Okay, so
caliber,
I'm-
which is pretty much the smallest caliber nowadays.
Okay.
And even then,
Is caliber the bullet size? Is that
yes,
the? Oh, okay.
yeah,
Okay.
that's it's a .22,
Mm-hmm.
and without getting too technical, and so it doesn't have a much of a kick to it, and,
Mm-hmm.
but you still don't want to hit anybody with it.
Right,
Yeah.
totally. You know, when I was like looking in your background and stuff like that, and I saw there's something you'd post on one of your Instagram accounts that was a graphic video. It was a video of like the
like a
internal
GIF.
right.
Yeah.
Thank you of a gun shooting
Right.
being fired, and I thought it was interesting to see it from that perspective.
Right.
You see, watching the inside of a gun and watching the bullet be brought up, and then how it separates the bullet from the
Right, how it
casing,
strikes
and-
the primer.
Yeah,
The
and then
firing pin
brings up
strikes the
another one and
primer.
gets.
And
it's
that's
like-
what ignites it, and then it'll eject, and there's an ejector, and I can, we're on a podcast, but I can actually show you how it
Yeah.
actually works.
Yeah, I'd love to come down to your shop
And,
one day. It would totally blow
And
my
it
mind.
and ejects it. But yeah, if somebody wants to see how a semi-automatic handgun works, just go to the Instagram. I believe that's Low Country Arms Ammo.
Yeah.
Is what that one's on.
Yeah.
I have a couple of them. That's for the place I have in South Carolina.
Okay.
And then I think I have Broward Guns, which is Tri-County Gun Sales, and that's the one in Fort Lauderdale.
So I was going to ask you because I saw, it was Low Country Ammo and
Arms Ammo.
Arms and Ammo, Tri-County Gun Sales,
Yes.
Broward,
Broward Guns. That just
and
started.
then Firearm Solutions.
Yeah,
I'm trying to
Firearm
figure out how do I-
Solutions is the LLC.
Okay,
So that's the whole umbrella of it, and then the
Gotcha.
other ones are DBAs
gotcha.
for just tax purposes. And when you get a gun store, no matter where it's at, you have to get a alcohol, tobacco, and firearms license for every location that you have, even if it was in. So in other words, even in Fort Lauderdale, if I wanted to open up a second location in Fort Lauderdale, I would have to get
A fresh license.
another license just for that location.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Which is it's a procedure you go through.
Yeah.
And it's pretty arduous. Fortunately, I know what they need and I know what they want.
Yeah.
And I'm able to go through it pretty easily. But the first time it was pretty intimidating, which was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Which was kind of strange how I got into it.
Yeah, tell me about how you got into it. When did you first think, hey, I want to
Well,
open
I
up a
was
shop?
buying, this would have been in the late 90s. I was buying a lot of guns on auction sites. And even then, you still had to have them shipped to an federal firearms licensee, FFL.
To act like as an intermediary? between
Well, they do the
customer-
background checks.
Gotcha.
That's who does the background checks. So I was buying quite a few guns online, and quite honestly, I was reselling them, which is perfectly legal. I would take them, hold them, and then either fix them up or do whatever, and I would sell them to people. Well, the ATF came in and did an audit, which they do.
Do they do them surprise?
Yes, they just walk in, and which I've been through probably 6 audits in my life now. But they audited the FFL that I was using to do the transfers, and he would run background checks every time I would buy a gun. Well, I had done about 40 in a year. with
Yeah.
them. And the ATF looked at it and go, well, who's this Ken Bratvogel guy that's done 40
Yeah.
transfers?
Raised a little bit of a flag.
Yeah, so they came and visited me, quite honestly. They came to the door, came to my house and visited me.
Was that intimidating?
Not really.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't done anything remotely illegal. Everything
Yeah.
was legal. But they said they wanted to see the 40 guns I had bought.
Right.
And I said, I don't have them. And they go, you sold them? And I go, yes. You made money on them? I go, well, I don't know whether I really made money or not.
Right.
So
Right.
I don't need another alphabet
No.
government entity
No,
coming after
no.
me. So then they said, well, you're in the business of buying and selling guns. They said, and you need a license for that. And I said, okay. I said, well, I'll look into getting that. I'll look at getting that.
Yeah.
And they said, no, we're going to help you do that.
You're not going to look into it. You're gonna.
Yeah, we're going to help you do that.
You're gonna.
So and then I knew I didn't want to do it at my house. I didn't want people coming to my house to buy and sell guns.
Yeah.
So I got a little bitty place, and that's how it started. And so then it was kind of a part-time thing, but I would put my son in there to help me.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing. So,
Now, was that in South Carolina? Or
yes.
Was that, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So when
So
did
that
you?
would have been around 94.
94.
Yeah.
And when did the Florida shop open up?
It just opened recently.
Oh, just recently.
Yeah.
Okay. How's it going?
It's actually doing pretty good.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. It's a different clientele here than it is up there.
How would you describe the difference?
Basically, they're looking for handguns and what they call lower receivers. And a lower receiver is something that you use to build an AR-15 with.
Okay.
So you buy the receiver, and that's the only part that has to be transferred. That's the only part that's serial numbered.
Gotcha.
So you can see them on the website in my Facebook page. But that part has to be done, and then you can build your AR on top of that.
Okay.
With what
Kind of like
however you wanna do.
ordering a car engine and then building up the other pieces around
Right.
it, however you want.
Right,
Or
exactly.
using. Okay.
And so that's a big thing here, and then just defensive handguns are a big thing here. Where there it's more hunting.
Hunting?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
there's a
what I
little
guess.
more split in the hunting and the defensive handguns
Okay.
thing. But and, the laws are a little different here than they are in South Carolina. And
Either one more difficult to deal
They're
with?
probably
or-
they're probably a little more difficult here than they are in South Carolina. So in other words, in Florida, if obviously you don't have a concealed weapons permit, if you wanted to buy a handgun today, you would pick out what you wanted, you would buy it. We would run the background check on you, which you would have to fill out this 4473.
Oh, it looks like a tax form, like every
Right.
it's your typical
fill out
government
those-
form.
Fill that out, and then we would take that information from there and type it into we would type it into the FDLE website computer. They would give us a approval, denial, or a standby, hold on, delay, and then obviously you're going to get if you've not been charged, if you've never been convicted of a felony or have any domestic violence against you, you're going to get okayed, and then
So far, so good. I think I'd be approved.
yeah, you're going to get approved, and then you'll then in Florida there's a 4-day or a 3-day waiting period, three business day waiting period.
Before you can actually physically take the gun home.
If you don't have a concealed weapons permit.
Okay.
If you got a concealed weapons permit, then you can take it immediately. If you don't, then you have to wait the 3 business days. So Saturday, Sunday don't count.
Right.
So the 3 days would start on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, so you could pick it up on anytime after midnight, Wednesday night.
Do customers ever get frustrated with all of this, or do they seem to pretty much typically know what
Well, they typically know what it is. If they don't, if people come in and don't, a lot of my job is first-time buyers, and you have to educate them on that sort of thing. And some of them do get frustrated with, why do I have to wait? And I tell them, I don't know why you have to wait, but that's just the law. You have to wait. If you don't want to wait, go get a concealed weapons permit. Yeah. Then you don't have to wait.
Are there classes for getting the permit, or how does that all work?
You can get classes for as low as $45. If you go to any one of the gun shows that you see, they typically hold classes for about $45. And it's going to be a little more than that. I think there's going to be some ammo involved because there's a shooting portion of the test that you have to do and that sort of thing. So you kind of have to have a gun and shot it and practiced with it before you go and take the concealed weapons permit.
Okay, I see.
But, and it's a long process to get that, about 6 weeks it takes. They run a pretty extensive background check on that person. Yeah. To get a concealed weapons. They don't just hand them out.
I hope not.
In Florida or South Carolina. Now there are some states that do.
Oh, that's kind of horrifying, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they just kind of hand
But, okay, so I've always been, like I said, fascinated with guns. I think they're a symbol of power, whether people think that's good or bad, they're a symbol of power. Excuse me. And I remember I was dating someone years ago, and his roommate I was just telling someone this story today. His roommate had a couple of guns, and he brought them out, and they're handguns. I think one was like a Magnum, I don't know. But he let me hold one. And as soon as I was holding it, I was like, oh my God, get this out of my hands. Someone's going to die. Like, I can't. I don't trust myself. And they're terrifying to me, to be honest with you. They're completely terrifying. Right. So for me, they're fascinating, but scary. I know for other people, and this is what I can't understand, there's a total cultural part of it, whether you grew up in a family that hunts, or like it was kind of like a generational that was passed down kind of a thing. So my question is for you, what makes guns fun? It seems like a lot of people find them fun. And I'm not saying that in a negative. They find enjoyment, like a hobby out of it. Right. What do you think that comes from? Where does it come from for you? Well,
it comes from just target shooting and just the camaraderie of it. If you ever go to a shooting range, it's one of the most polite places you ever want to be in.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Well, I hope so. Everyone has a gun if you cross them.
Right. So, but that's never going to happen. You're never going to read that happen. It just doesn't happen. Yeah. And it's just a fun sport. Yeah. And and of course it can, but it's like any other tool, whether it's a chainsaw or whatever, it can hurt you and kill you if you don't use it properly. Right. No question about it. Right. But with as many firearms that there are in this country, and I have to say there are a lot, a whole lot. There really is not a lot going on. I think the news media cranks it up. They have to have things to trend.
Well, I agree with that to a certain extent. I think every news has to report something, right? So they have to latch on to
if it bleeds, it leads.
Well, they have to latch on to what's sensational and what makes people tune in and keep the channel on and so on and so forth. So whether that's a really positive, fun story or a tragic story, whatever the heartstrings are, that can be pulled. Yeah. But at the same time, I think the things that happen are horrifying. Right. So. So I get what you're saying, and I agree with you to a certain extent. I really do. Yeah. But
just like the AR-15s, just building them
Well, I was going to ask
It's
you.
a fun thing to do.
I was
It's
gonna
like
ask
building
you,
a model.
What is the most fun? How do you enjoy it the most? Is it hunting? Is it shooting at a range? Is it building and refurbishing? Like what do you find? most
Building
enjoyable?
and refurbishing and shooting at a range.
Yeah.
I'm not a big hunter anymore,
Mm-hmm.
but I can certainly understand where hunting is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Whether it's deer hunting or hog hunting, and in South Carolina, there's become a large coyote problem, I guess.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that kind of what's, for lack of a better word, trending now?
Yeah, because it's
they
open
wanna-
season on them.
Oh, wow.
You see a coyote, you can shoot it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. They're that bad.
Don't tell the coyotes.
They're that bad.
Wow.
I mean, they're killing a lot of pets and,
Yeah.
and doing a lot of damage.
Yeah.
So, but it's just, like I say, building the AR-15s are a lot of fun. And so it's just that sort of, yeah, do I carry and whatnot concealed
Yeah.
when I go places? Yeah.
Guessing you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not so much down here.
Yeah.
Because I've got friends that don't approve. But,
Yeah.
in South Carolina, I'm never without it unless I'm drinking somewhere.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a good rule of thumb.
Oh yeah, no, you go drinking, you don't.
Oh, there are people who do, and that's
Yeah,
like, oh
no,
god,
no,
bad idea, bad
that's-
idea, bad idea.
That's not a smart thing. To do.
No, not at all. Not at all. What are some other gun safety tips you can share?
Well, of course, you always make sure that when you, in other words, I taught my children, of course, they're adults, very much so now, that how to, if somebody brought a gun out, so in other words, if they were 12 years old even, and somebody said, I want you to see my dad's gun, and they went and got it, brought it out, I always told them, let me take a look at that a second, and take it from that person, and
Disarm it?
make sure it's empty. Whether it's a revolver, a semi-automatic handgun, or a rifle, you should need to know how to safe that gun. And then you're not going to have a problem. That way, instead of just either that or leave, but if you don't want to leave, maybe that's not the smartest thing to do if there's 3 or 4 other people around, because they could get hurt. You need to know how to make that gun safe in that area, that it's not going to hurt you or anyone else.
So I have a son who will be 4 in just a matter of weeks. And his
Time
dad...
for him to get to the range. No, I'm kidding.
No! Not yet. So his dad is a gun owner. Okay. But his name's Jordan, my son, and we've had a couple of conversations randomly, things pop up on television, whatever, and I have a conversation with him about, what do you do when you see a gun? What do you do if you find a gun, and I have him act it out, blah, blah, blah. I tell him, don't touch it, come find me or another adult and tell them there's a gun, blah, blah, blah. What advice would you give to parents? Because you see those shows, every once in a while there's like a special of, what do kids really do when they're left alone in the room? And, the parents are watching behind closed circuit television and they see their kids that they've told a million times not to touch a gun, and the first thing they do is beeline
Sure
for
they
that
do.
gun.
Sure they
What
do.
would you...
There's so
For
many.
someone like me who doesn't have the gun experience to pass down,
Right.
what would you tell those parents?
Well, there's so many types of safes now that are easy. Let's say you want to keep it loaded
Yeah.
for home defense, because a gun inside a house, if you have it for home defense, if you've got to load it and do all that, the deal's over by the time you get all that done.
Right.
But there's so many types of safe that are still easy to access for the adult, for the gun owner, that are fingerprint. You lay your fingers on it, it reads the fingerprints, and it'll open the safe.
Yeah.
The kids can do it all day long, it isn't going to do it.
Yeah.
Outside of that, just put a trigger lock on it. That's still not hard to get off. It may take you, you just have to practice with it. It could take you 5-6 seconds to get it off. And then take the key with you. Outside of that, when you're going to be gone, you're going to be gone, the kids are going to be there, just unload the gun and take the ammo with you, or take the gun with you. Or, but if you have a lot of them, a good safe are not that expensive. You know, if you've got a half a dozen firearms and you can't afford a $300 safe, then
Something's off balance, right?
yeah, maybe you need to think about what you're doing.
Right. Slow down the steps a little bit more. A little bit.
Sell a gun or two and get a good safe.
Right.
There's plenty of good safes out there.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, to expose young children to that and that they don't know what they're doing it is a sad thing. And I don't agree with that at all. Yeah, you need to, that's what gun control is.
Right.
You know where your guns are all the time, and you know where they're at and that they're safe all the time.
So when I did go to your website, I saw that you have right there on the main page, you have the Second Amendment. A little, and it says, you know, the right of people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. My question: what does the Second Amendment mean to you? How do you personally interpret that?
It doesn't mean anything about hunting. It means everything. What the Second Amendment was made for was to protect us against our government trying to overrun us. And people will say, well, you guys with your guns, you're not gonna, if the government ever decides to do something, which, you know, do I think they're going to? Probably not. But they say, well, you're not going to be able to take our government on if you ever decide to do that. Well, the Taliban's been giving us a pretty good run for our money for 10 years in Afghanistan, so, you know, and all they got is little AK-47s. It's, yeah, you can. Do you think
it'd be different on home soil, though?
I don't think it'll ever happen.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll ever come to
I don't
that.
think so either.
I
At
really
least not
don't.
in an imaginable,
Right,
you know,
right.
near future.
I just don't think it's going to, but that's what it was written for.
Right.
I mean, to think that it was written for hunting or be able to have it for sport, that really isn't what it was written for.
So then, what do you see as the naturally embedded limitations that can translate to for just the average civilian? Like maybe type of gun or anything like that. Do you think that translates?
Well, there really isn't any. There really are not any limitations on the type of guns that you can own. You can own just about any kind of gun legally if you jump through enough hoops and go through the right processes to own it. Yes, can you easily own a fully automatic gun? No, but you can do it. And I have done it and owned them and sold them, but they're expensive and it's an expensive, long, arduous process, but it can be done. As far, the same thing with suppressors.
What's a suppressor?
Silencers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you can legally own suppressors in probably 42 states. And, you know, you have to jump through certain hoops to do it.
Yeah.
And, you know, those sorts of things have never really, they've not had any crime committed with those either suppressor or fully automatic. So they really don't really weigh into but if
What do you mean no crime's been committed?
There's really been no crimes committed with suppressors. The last suppressor.
I'm sorry, every mob movie is running through my head.
Yeah, but that doesn't figure into the equation. It's the last crime that was committed with a suppressor was a sheriff's deputy out in California that had legal rights to it, and then he went off the rails and did whatever he did. But that is the last thing. I mean, in some Nordic countries like Norway and Sweden, you have to hunt with a suppressor because they have government insurance, government paid for insurance, and they don't want the hearing damage done to your ears.
Really?
Yeah. So
there's a noise ordinance essentially.
Right, essentially. If you actually have a gun for home defense use, I suggest to people that you put a suppressor on.
Okay.
Because if you let a gun off inside a house, you're really going to have some major hearing damage.
See, I've never heard a gun. Well, that's not true. I have heard, actually more times than I probably would like to say, I've heard guns shot many times. God, that's terrible. But outside of a controlled environment, living in New Orleans, even living around here, I've heard them. Totally forgot. So my question is, you're saying it's like super loud, and I mean, what's that experience like?
It's
of shooting a gun or being around
if it's inside of a house, inside of a building, it's mind numbing. Yeah, it'll disorient you. Yeah.
Because you see sometimes on television where they'll you're shaking your head, but they'll like imitate what happens and express it in like the person who's not expecting that gunshot might clutch their ears and they have like that ringing sound and that type of thing.
You're not even going to hear. I have a constant ringing in my ears because when I was young, we took our 22s out, and a stupid thing we did is shoot them without hearing protection. Yeah. So that's over the years and the hundreds of thousands of rounds that I've shot mostly with hearing protection, but it still takes its toll. I do have ringing in my ears because of it. Yeah. And, and then when I got out of college in the late 70s, and I was a sheriff's deputy, and I did have
you were?
Yeah, for a short time. And then I had to let a gun off inside a house one time, and it's not a good thing to do. It really is not fun for anybody. Yeah. Like I said, I actually, if somebody, that's what they want to use it for, I actually, tell them we can put them through the process to get suppressor on it, and it'll help.
Is there anything about guns that intimidates you?
Nothing.
And how come?
Other than some bad guy with a gun, that intimidates me.
Do you believe in that adage of the only thing that can stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun?
No, that's not the only thing.
Okay.
No, because there's so much involved that if somebody came into a place that you were at and got the drop on you, that you wouldn't be able to get to it in time, because you have to keep it in Florida and in South Carolina. You have to keep it concealed and fairly deep concealed. So by the time you get to it, by the time all those sorts of things happen, the deal may be over. Now, if some guy's in a movie theater, but that's so rare. Yeah. You and I have a better chance of winning the Mega Million lottery than we ever do getting shot at a movie theater. Yeah. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. Because I guess if because here's the thing, when I hear people say that, right? I appreciate what you just said. But when I hear people say that, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, you have someone with potentially very minimal training, who's certainly never been through the rigors of police force training or anything of that level, or tactical training of any sort. So instead of using a gun to just protect themselves in a more intimate and immediate situation, now they're expected to be this hero. And it kind of makes me think, okay, number one, are they going to accidentally shoot someone they shouldn't? Or number two, when law enforcement arrives, are they going to get shot?
Right.
Because law enforcement can't tell the difference. Right. So whenever I hear someone say that, I'm like,
that's not necessarily right.
Doesn't really sound like it's the right approach.
It's not the right approach all the time, by any means. No.
Yeah, I mean, I can appreciate, I have a very intimidating knife that I have in my apartment somewhere. If anybody comes in, that type of thing, I have something. But I would never think I'm going to walk around the mall with this tucked into my belt loop, so if anything happens, I can be that person, because it just doesn't feel like I have any training whatsoever to be that person.
And I wholeheartally agree with extended training. Just because you get your concealed weapons permit for $45 and all that.
Which takes how many hours of training?
And in Florida, it might be 8. I'm not totally sure.
Yeah.
In South Carolina, it's 8 hours.
Okay.
I can say that for sure. But that's not 8 hours of shooting training, of handling the weapon. That's just a start. You need to go way beyond that. And then if you really want to carry, you need to go well beyond just the that's just basic training to get in.
Yeah.
You know, to get it. That's like, it's almost like, I almost consider it a learner's permit.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, you've got it where you can carry it, but then just to carry it then from now on.
Right.
It's
Like
just-
you're in the schoolhouse doors. Now here's lesson
Yeah,
number
you
2,
really
lesson
know
number
you need
3,
to go
lesson
on
number,
and on and on. And I would say go at least every year. And there's a lot of training facilities locally, you know, in Florida, South Carolina, Georgia, that you can go to and get tactical type training and learn, be in a stressful situation that, you know, you have to learn to look what's beyond and look what's behind.
Right.
You can't just have that tunnel vision.
Right,
and that
right.
sort of
And
thing.
to train you not to have that trigger finger. And
Right,
access.
and sometimes you just don't even bring it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just, you know, you just maybe got to let the deal go down. Depends on what it is. If they're really not going to shoot anybody, maybe let them have the money and
Be on their way.
be on their way. Yeah.
Are there any other, you know, you think of maybe like the typical pro-gun mantras like that, the only thing that can stop a bad guy is
Right, right.
Are there any other sayings like that or thoughts like that you don't necessarily sit well with?
Well, I actually, and I know this is going to ruffle a lot of feathers if there's pro-gun people, but I do think that all transfers should be handled through a background check.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
I mean, to be able to, in other words, you could come and buy a handgun from me legally, and we'll go through the background check, and I can give you an approval, and you know, after the waiting period, you take the gun and go. You might take it home and say, oh, I don't like this gun. A week later, you could go sell it to somebody on a Walmart parking lot.
Right.
Legally.
Right. Right.
That's
and
a
that's
problem. That's a problem.
terrifying.
Yeah.
Because okay, so another argument that I hear that just drives me absolutely freaking bananas is criminals don't follow the law. So what's the point of having stronger gun laws? And what drives me bananas about that is, yes, criminals by definition don't follow the law, right?
Right.
But that doesn't stop us from having laws, period. Doesn't stop us from having laws against speeding, against murder, against pedophilia, against blah, 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 blah. So the laws have a purpose. They're a deterrent, or they give you something to use to punish somebody who has committed an act, et cetera, et cetera. But also, people who do follow the law, right? If, let's say there's a new regulation where they can't sell a gun at a gun show without then processing the person through a background check, then that at least there's somebody in the equation who's now following this new law, who can potentially help bar the person who wouldn't normally follow the law from getting their hands on a gun anyway. So I think that there's a whole lot of wiggle room, a whole lot of gray space for both coins to coexist at the same time.
Yeah.
And it drives me crazy when whichever side it is so staunchly secured
Right.
with their feet in the mud.
Right.
You know, so do you think, looking through your stuff that I was able to find online, I probably can reasonably assume you're a member of the NRA. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, you know, how do you feel about some of the stances that they've taken? Sticker right there. There you go. Is there one on your car too?
No.
Ah, darn it! You're failing me. I'm just kidding. Are there other? Has there ever been a moment when a tragedy has happened or what have you, and the NRA comes and speaks, and you're like, it kind of makes you grit your teeth a little bit about what they say, or are you?
I'm not,
okay
you know,
with-
I'm not 100% behind it. Like the only good guys
Yeah.
are going to stop bad guys thing.
Yeah.
That's a little over the top.
Yeah.
Now there is, you did mention one thing, and I'm not going to let you get by with it. That the gun show thing.
Yeah.
That's a fallacy. That's
Okay.
not true.
Okay, so
you
please
go to
demonstrate.
you go to gun shows, any gun show in Palm Beach, anywhere here in Florida.
Okay.
And again, legally, there can be a guy bring his private, I'm doing air quotes, private collection in and sell those without a background check. But that's far and few between. There's almost none that do that. Almost all guns that are sold at gun shows have the, and I've done a lot of gun shows.
They do background
in South Carolina, and most at all the gun shows, almost everyone does a background. Is doing it as a dealer, and they're doing background checks.
Okay, well that's really good to know because I did not know that.
Yeah, there's a kind of a fallacy on the gun show loophole.
Okay.
What I consider the gun show loophole is what we had talked about earlier. You buy the gun legally from me. Oh, I really don't like this gun, and go to Walmart parking lot and sell it to just some friend of yours, and here, give me $300.
Yeah, and that's just really a loophole.
But it's still and it's still legal.
Yeah,
you're not doing anything illegal.
Right.
But that's
I also noticed that whenever there is one of these national tragedies that happen. Sorry, that sounded a little flippant. I didn't mean to sound so flippant. But when one of these incidents occurs, I also have noticed that there seems to be an uptick in gun sales shortly thereafter. From being a shop owner, what has been, you have your finger on the pulse of the customers that are coming in and the reasons why. Can you translate that for us and explain why that happens?
We say that President Obama is probably our best salesman.
Okay.
Because every time he opens his mouth, then there's an uptick.
Yeah.
Right now, what people are afraid of is that what's going to happen is that, I'll give you a little history, that Bill Clinton did the first assault weapons ban. There was a 10-year assault weapons ban in place during the Clinton years and into it. Then George W. let it sunset. Just didn't do anything, and it just went away. He didn't do anything, so it just went away. Then what people are afraid of now, gun owners, is that as we get closer to the election, if they see that Hillary's going to become president, then, and unless the Republicans do something drastically different, I don't see it. I see that maybe happening. That what'll happen is that she'll either bring back the assault weapons ban, or that President Obama will executive order an assault weapons ban. She won't lift it, and there'll be at least 4 to 8 years of another assault weapons ban.
Okay.
Which is, what's an assault weapon? And
I was actually going to ask you.
Yeah, what is that? In that case, it was just a black rifle that had more than 30, that had a 30-round magazine in it. So we were at the range with someone the other week or so ago, and they had a 22 semi-automatic that had I believe it was a 20-round, 15 or 20-round magazine. Under that provision, that's an assault weapon. It's a semi-automatic firearm with a larger than 10-round magazine.
Okay, so 10's the threshold. Okay.
That seems to be the threshold. Why is that a threshold? I don't know. Because if you got 10-round magazines, I mean, I know guys that do practice tactically, although bad guys usually don't, but I know guys that practice tactically, and they can change out a magazine in about 0.8 of a second.
0.8 of a second?
Yeah. So you can watch it on YouTube. You can watch that on YouTube.
So when you hear people rallying against like a
30-round magazine.
Yeah. Does it just not make any sense
Doesn't
to you?
make any sense to me whatsoever.
Okay.
You can have 5 10-round magazines, and really it's not going to slow anybody down.
But see, you made a good, you said something interesting. You said tactical people who've trained tactically, and those usually aren't the bad guys, right? So I'm picturing a bad guy who hasn't trained tactically. How long would you think they might take to?
Probably 2 or 3 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can still do it in about 2 or 3 seconds.
Yeah.
If you got, if you're not totally bumbling and stumbling.
So what do you think would be reasonable for?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. Let it go just the way it is. there's no point in
Well,
it.
not specifically about the magazine capacity in general. For gun control measures.
Okay, any gun control measure I would be in favor of would be background checks on any transfer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
If you can't pass the background check, then you probably shouldn't have the gun. But I personally know people, one person in particular, that stole, in other words, his mother traded in her automobile to an automobile dealer. He had a key to it. He was 19 years old. He went on the car dealer's lot, stole the car. Stole the car. All right. Got busted for GTA. They didn't
GTA?
have
Grand Theft Auto. Right.
Didn't have enough money to get him off. Which, if you had enough money,
Now you're
you probably
talking
would
about
have
class
got
issues too. That
right, class
issues.
issues. He got hit with a felony.
Okay.
Today, he's well into his 40s, and he can't own a gun legally. He can't have a gun in the house even. And now he's a journeyman in his trade and owns a business, has 2 children, all the right stuff.
So would the better solution perhaps be background checks with some sort of amendment to that provision that says
I think that if you have some if you have some juvenile indiscretion,
right.
something, silly, like that. That's just a stupid juvenile indiscretion is what that was. There's just certain things that on a case-by-case basis you should be able to easily get that expunged.
Has there ever been someone who's walked into your shop and you just had a feeling
Yes.
like I should not?
Yes.
What was that like?
There was a fellow that walked in that was, he was, started talking about, he was a Holocaust denier.
Okay, so red flag number 1.
Right. And this was a younger fellow too. I'd say he might have been 30.
Okay.
And so, my counterman was taking care of him. I was just kind of in the shadows listening to this. And then I was watching him on the television, on the closed circuit television, and we had 30 round magazines for ARs stacked on a shelf that were for sale. He was probably there 20 minutes. He unstacked and restacked those 4 times.
What?
So he's got some OCD issues.
Yeah.
On top of the
something's going on.
On top of the Holocaust denier.
Yeah.
So he talked to him. 20 minutes later, he leaves. I walk out and I said, "Do not sell that guy a gun. Period. I don't care. Just no."
Yeah.
And we can legally
deny
anybody we want to. In other words, if somebody comes in and they're sweating and they're, saying she's not going to get by with it.
Yeah.
No, I don't care if they can pass a background check or not.
Florida?
Anywhere. Yeah. An FFL has the legal right to deny a sale to anybody.
Yeah.
That they just feel that, you're just not
a little off.
Yeah, you're just not quite there. So, and they can sue all they want, but they're not going anywhere.
Right.
With it. I mean, who are they going to call? The cops?
Right.
Tell them that, I went in there acting crazy and they don't want to sell me a gun.
Right.
So, and then you have to answer the questions. In other words, we could go through these, but one of them says, are you a fugitive from justice? You have to answer yes or no.
Well, let me ask you about this then, because isn't this self-identifying, or is there any way for them?
Well, they can answer.
Can they say nope? I've never done it. Nope, never done any of this stuff.
Yeah, they can, but then when you type it in, but there's one that in other words, if you've ever been dishonorably discharged from the service. You can't get a gun. Well, that's going to be in the database. That's going to be in the data. Now, that being said, when they give me a denial back, which is very rarely, I mean, out of the probably 1,000 background checks I've ran, I've maybe only had 7 or 8 denies.
What?
Yeah.
I don't think that makes me feel better or worse.
Well, that's
be honest.
But I mean, have you ever renounced your U.S. citizenship?
Not as of yet.
But yeah.
No plans.
But there's one in here about being an alcoholic. There.
Are you an unlawful user of or addicted to marijuana or any depressant, stimulant, narcotic drug, or any other controlled substance? I mean, who would say yes?
Let me tell you. Let me tell you who'd have to say yes. This is a federal form, not a state form. It's a federal form. If you're in Colorado and you're smoking weed, you got to say yes.
Oh, because it's a federal form.
Right.
So it's technically unlawful.
It's technically unlawful.
So
if they say
no one's
yes,
gonna pass a background check in Colorado?
Well, not if they're honest. If they're smoking weed, not if they're honest. So
interesting.
So if they answered yes on that, I can't even submit it. I have to say,
done.
We're done right now. I can't even legally submit it. If I legally submitted it and it came back approved,
yeah,
and then they did something with that weapon, and then the whole thing starts, and then I've had a number of what they call searches, where something's happened to a firearm that I sold to someone, and then they start running the chain backwards to see where that firearm ended up at.
Yeah.
And we can go through the whole system on how that works real quick, but if you want.
Well, I'm just curious.
But if they looked at that and said, the guy said he was why did you even run the background
you'd be
check?
done.
Yeah. Now I'm going to jail.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. This isn't an indictment whatsoever, but I'm just curious. Do you know from, law enforcement approaching you, needing to look at do you know what's like the worst thing that's ever been done with a gun that you stole?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, they don't ever tell us
the
details. Like if we get a denial back,
yeah,
we don't know why they get denied. We have to give them a form that says this is how you approach it. Of course, everybody sits there and says, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
it's kind of like being denied for credit. You don't necessarily know why.
Right.
You got to go back to the creditor and be like, what's going on?
And sometimes there are some things in there. In other words, people don't, if they have a name John Smith,
yeah,
and they don't want to give their social security number.
Oh, yeah, then forget it.
And,
You're not going
then you got a whole bunch of John Smiths, and there has to be some of them that did bad things. It could very easily come back and deny.
Right.
So then I'd say, but once it comes back and deny, then I can't help.
There's nothing you can do.
I can't resubmit it.
Yeah.
Well, here, let me give you my social security number. We'll resubmit it.
Could they go to another shop and have them?
Yeah, sure.
That you under your
Me,
license,
I can't do
you
it.
can't do it.
Yeah, I can't redo it. I can't
Interesting.
resubmit it.
Interesting. Wow. So we talk a lot about guns and your background with guns. What else do you, Ken, enjoy doing with your spare time? I saw a picture somewhere of a
horses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that you on that? Was it like a Twitter user pic or something? I saw someone jumping
No.
a hurdle or something.
Yeah, no. Yeah, Grand Prix jumping. No, that wasn't me.
Okay, I was gonna say, geez, when do you find time for that?
Yeah, no. But I do enjoy it.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, Wellington and the equestrian center out there has, right now as we speak, in the end of February, has a lot of Grand Prix jumping going on every Saturday night.
Yeah.
And I do enjoy watching it. And I was actually a farrier.
What's that?
Horseshoes, shoeing horses.
No kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding. When did you
learn?
When did you learn that? How did you figure that out?
Well, how I grew up, and it was just being around horses.
Yeah.
It just kind of self-taught.
Yeah.
And just figured it out.
Self-taught. Did the horses appreciate that?
Well, yes. The first few didn't, but after a while.
Who is this guy?
Yeah. But I actually worked my way through college shoeing horses.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so, I've done it quite a bit since, not now anymore. But,
Yeah.
back in my younger days, I did quite a bit of it. And so, I've been around horses all my life. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I do enjoy. I enjoy trail riding and just being around. They calm me down.
Yeah.
They when you had a bad day, if you got a horse
They're
out,
very therapeutic, I hear.
yeah,
I've only been on
they
a
make
horse.
you be more calm. If you're all stressed and tense around them, they're going to be stressed and tense.
Yeah.
So you got to bring yourself down.
Interesting. Yeah, they used to offer therapy and stuff. I've only been on a horse ever once in my life. I need to change that at some point. I need to
Yeah.
change,
I usually like carrying guns on horses.
Really?
Exactly. Well,
What's your
I've got a scabbard that I can put a rifle in on them.
Oh my god! What's your future? I just picture. I'm just picturing it right now. What's your favorite gun?
My favorite gun?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. I would say, as far as a handgun, I like 6 Sauers. I have a 6 Sauer P226.
I'm nodding like I know anything about what you're
Yeah.
saying. But tell me.
Yeah, no, it's just a,
Yeah, sure, good,
well-balanced.
gotcha, okay.
It's just a well-balanced.
Is it a handgun or is
Yes.
it a... Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like CZs. I'm not into the Glocks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like striker fire guns. I'm old school. I like guns, handguns with hammers on them.
Do you ever do bow and arrows and stuff like that too?
No.
Just, yeah.
No, never did bow and arrows.
Yeah.
No.
I
have, but I don't really.
Yeah, I shot a bow and arrow once.
Yeah.
And like a real one. And I was completely surprised. I didn't realize how hard that is.
Yeah.
It is really hard just to pull that string back.
Right.
Is really tough. And it takes a lot. And, yeah, it was
Well, they got what they call solo cams, cams that have different pulleys that are much easier to pull back now.
Okay, well, my friend had a very difficult one.
Yeah. But they're still difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah. But to hunt with a bow and arrow is a very,
It takes skill.
a lot of skill.
Yeah.
A lot of skill. Because you got to get so much closer.
So, what is your? So you said you like to, take them apart, refurbish them, and stuff like that. And kind of a weird question, but if you could do anything in the afternoon with a gun, what would you be doing?
Probably, I like to shoot for a little while, and it's become a lot more expensive to shoot recently than it was. And then take it apart and clean it.
Yeah.
Or if there was a malfunction with it, figure out what malfunction
Yeah.
there was with it and try to make it. I mean, I get a lot of people who bring guns in that say they don't. I call it don't run right.
Yeah.
They're failure to eject, failure to fire, whatever. And it's astounding how people don't clean their guns. If you just clean it, it's going to run just fine.
What are you cleaning? I'm so dumb when it comes to this stuff. What are you cleaning out of the gun?
Well, it just gets soot.
Okay.
And it gets a little
From
bit
the
leaded.
gunpowder, what have you? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and after a while, you don't need to do it all the time.
Yeah.
But you have to keep it somewhat clean, or it'll stop ejecting because it's kind of complicated in a semi-automatic.
Yeah.
The way it grabs the shell out
Yeah.
and ejects it.
Yeah, I'm thinking back to that graphic I saw. Pretty cool.
Yeah. Somebody needs to put that. I think I had some other things there where a guy we were at the range and he was shooting a 45 and I had it in slow motion.
Yes, I did see that one too.
So that that was a good thing, a good image of how it ejects the shells out. And so if you don't keep them clean, it won't do that properly. Yeah.
So
clean them.
What are your plans with your shop? What do you hope for your future with your shop?
Well, I'm probably gonna back down on South Carolina a little bit and just do Florida and I'm just more into a teaching mode where people that like you, for instance, that maybe want to get it. I don't know if you want to get into a gun, but that don't.
I want to
know
shoot
anything,
one
that
day.
Don't know anything.
It's on my bucket list, to be honest with you.
There's a lot of you people around. So But exactly, I mean, that's not shot a gun, that handled them, that are afraid of them.
Terrified.
And I'm not trying to change but try to change people one at a time to say, look, this isn't a horrible thing. It's, can it hurt you? Well, without question it can. But if you know what you're doing, it's actually fun. Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Still terrifying, but I can see how it can be fun.
Well, I mean, I'm not so sure you should be terrified of them, but you should certainly have a healthy respect for them. I mean, I have a healthy respect.
Yeah, I think that's key.
And as much as I've been around guns for as many decades as I've been around guns, I've never had what they call an AD, which is an accidental discharge. I've never been shot, never shot anybody accidentally, and I've been around them. Like I said, I've literally shot over 100,000 rounds in my life.
Wow.
And never had a problem.
Yeah.
You just have to have a respect. But I was taught right from the beginning. And then reading a lot of articles and just, safety articles, and how to handle guns articles.
Well, I think that,
it's training.
Kudos to you for doing that. I just, and I know responsible gun owners, that's, the definition. You're responsible and that's what you do. And I just wish that more people could be responsible.
Yeah. I have a problem with women, for instance, who want to buy a gun for protection, and they get their concealed weapons permit, and then they buy a gun. And I tell them, they say, well, which guns you got? I go, there's no gun that's any good if you're just going to buy the thing and throw it in the bottom of your purse and forget about it. Load it. That's irresponsible. If you're not going to practice with it,
Practice and continue your education.
Right. At least 50 rounds per month. And,
Wow.
And continue to practice with it, and you might as well not have it. I have friends that, well, if you have a gun and you don't think you can pull it out and use it at the exact right time, then don't do it.
And it has to be, no pun intended, but it has to be automatic, meaning like
semi-automatic.
No. I mean, not the gun itself.
Okay.
But I mean, like if you're in that situation where it has to be fast, you don't want to be thinking about the 1, 2, 3.
Right.
You want to be able to rely that 1, 2, 3 is already
instinct. Right.
within you,
Right.
and with proper
muscle
training.
memory and that sort of thing.
Right. So.
And that just comes from practice. Like I say, to take it, throw it in the bottom of your purse. Just don't even, take it and keep it around and take it to the range or whatever, but don't carry it. Yeah. Because you're really not doing anybody.
So there's this super cute Hello Kitty gun that I saw a few years ago, and I've always wanted. So if I do get it, just rule of thumb, practice.
Yeah.
Super cute, but you got to practice.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Right.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
There we go.
And there's plenty in South Florida. There's plenty of places. Yeah, like Little Pink Thing, or they got Muddy Girl now and all that
kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So, where can my listeners find your store and your shop and everything?
In Florida, it's down in Oakland Park, off Oakland Park Boulevard at 2706. It's in with the Corporate Security Academy.
Okay.
And they train security guards for licensing in Florida.
Okay.
And that's where and then of course I'm up in South Carolina, in Beaufort, and up off of Burton Hill Road.
Okay.
And there's a big store. That's a big store there. This one's not so big anymore down here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
But who knows?
And it's called, the website is firearms.solutions, right?
Firearms.solutions. Yeah. No .com or it's just .solutions. I bought that. Well, just a little business thing. I bought that extension.
Okay.
And firearms.solutions that way. I just use it all the time. That's the name of my company, Firearms Solutions, and that way somebody can't take it and run with it.
Right.
So
very smart of you.
Just,
the consummate entrepreneur, I think you've called yourself before. There you go.
That's me.
Good stuff.
We'll have to do an entrepreneur
Absolutely, we will.
Yeah.
We will,
I've
definitely.
done things.
Yeah, I'd love to hear about all of it. So thank you. I can't thank you enough for being on,
Okay.
for expressing yourself so openly about what can be kind of a tricky, sticky issue for a lot of people, especially in this time right now that we're in. So thank you so much for availing yourself. I really appreciate it.
All right. Anytime.
It's been great. Do you want to sign off the podcast? It's really easy. All you do is you're going to say, "This is Kent Bratvogel," right?
Right.
Okay, good. I got it
No
right.
T on the end of Ken. But
Okay. Did I say Kent?
I think so.
Oh, my bad. Sorry. I'll edit this out. This is Ken Bratvogel with Curve the Cube.
This is Ken Bratvogel with Curve the Cube.
Yay! High five! Good job! Yay! You did awesome. I appreciate it. Sweet.
And I didn't even have to bring my gun out.
Do you have it really with you?
I got one here.
Oh my gosh, can I see it?
Yeah.
Okay, we're still recording, everybody. Oh my god.
Yeah, this is a brand new.
Okay, I'm horrified. But I'm trusting you.
It's empty.
Okay, well, I'm trusting you. What is that?
This is a semi-automatic.
Semi-automatic. Oh my gosh.
It's just no.
I am holding a very heavy
Don't point it
and
anywhere.
intimidating
No,
gun.
don't point it at anybody.
I hope no one lives above you. Oh my
Here,
gosh.
what you want to
It's a
do
9
though,
millimeter.
whenever you're holding a gun like that,
Take the finger off the trigger.
just lay your finger up the side until you're ready to shoot.
Oh
She's
my
had enough.
gosh.
Yeah.
This
I should take a picture.
is, I don't know if I feel,
That says
okay, so I get it. I officially get it. I think I get it a little bit. There's a little bravado, there's a little machismo, there's a little, wow, that's a gun.
That's the real deal right there.
That's a gun.
That's the real deal.
Okay. Is this one that this is your personal gun?
No, that's just one for sale.
Wow.
Yeah. But I do carry some like that.
Oh my gosh. This is crazy.
And
Thank you for bringing this. This is insane. I'm holding a gun. Put it away. Okay, I'm done. Thanks, Ken. This was great. You're awesome. Wow, we went a long time. We did a great job.
You have successfully curved the cube.